Our merchant stopped to rest in a grove and ate a handful of dates and threw the pits over his shoulder. That's it? That's the crime? Remember it because a man is about to die for it. One of those pits, thrown blind, landing nowhere, had struck a child no human eye could see. The ground of the grove stood up. It became a jinni the color of old bone, with eyes like the last coals of a fire, and it said, "You have killed my son." And the jinni of the grove had exactly one thing left in the world: a grievance. Fourth night, he was early again. I was starting to suspect my king liked this arrangement, though he'd have banned me twice before admitting it. I should tell you something about tonight before we go on. Tonight's story is the one where I stopped being clever and started being honest, because tonight's story is about what a story is for. Watch what gets traded in this one. The merchant did not run. Where do you run from the ground? He said, "If I have done this, my life is yours, but I am a man with debts to settle, children to provide for, and goods that belong to other men. Give me 1 year to put my affairs in order, and I swear I will return to this grove and stand on this spot, and you may take what you are owed." And the jinni, who had loved his son and understood owing, agreed. Here is the part I love, and the part nobody believes. He went home. He paid every debt. He provided for everyone he was responsible for. He told his family the truth. And at the end of the year, he went back. No one made him. No chains, no guards, no magic. He walked back across the desert to his own death because he had said he would. You can call that foolish. The story calls it something else. The story spends its whole length rewarding it. He sat down in the grove and he waited to be collected. But death was not the first thing to find him. The first thing to find him was an old man, leading a golden gazelle on a silver chain. The gazelle looked at the merchant with eyes that were not a gazelle's eyes. You know that look by now. This show is full of it. The old man asked why a well-dressed merchant was sitting alone in a haunted grove, and when he heard the answer, he sat down too. "This," he said, "I have to see." Then came a second old man, with 2 black dogs that walked like men keeping a secret. He heard the tale. He also sat down. And then a third, a stooped old man leading a grey mule that watched everything and startled at nothing. He asked no questions at all. He simply sat down with the others, as if he'd been invited. I promise you, this is how the old story goes. A man waits for his executioner, and strangers arrive one by one and stay. Because a thing was about to happen here, and everyone could feel it. Then the ground stood up and the jinni was there, grief and sand and embers. And the merchant stood and did not run and said, "I have come back as I swore." And before the jinni could take what he was owed, the first old man stepped forward. And the old man said the strangest sentence in this whole strange book. "O jinni, if I tell you the story of myself and this gazelle and you find it marvelous enough, will you sell me 1/3 of this man's life for it?" Hear that again. He offered a story as payment, set the price before he began, 1 tale, 1/3 of a man's blood. And the jinni, who had 1,000 years and nothing to fill them, said, "Tell it. If it is marvelous, 1/3 is yours." I have never heard my own job described more accurately. The old man's story, shortened the way I shortened it for the king. He had a son from his first marriage whom he loved, and a second wife who could not bear to watch him love it. And while the old man traveled, the wife did what proud, cold, patient people do in these stories. She learned a craft she should not have learned, and when the old man came home, his son was gone. "Ran away," she said, "grieve and be done." But there was a new calf in the herd that year, and at the festival, when the animals were brought out, this one small calf broke from the line and pressed its head against the old man's knees and wept. Actual tears. An animal weeping like a child at its father's feet. The old man could not explain why his heart tore in half. He only knew he could not send that calf away. He kept it near him from that day. It was a herdsman's daughter who solved it, a village girl who had learned from her grandmother the seeing kind of craft. She took one look at the calf and laughed out loud. "Old man," she said, "do you know your son is standing next to you?" She undid the spell. The calf stood up a boy, and the wife, the one who had done it. The girl turned her into a gazelle. The same magic she had used turned home. "And this is she," the old man told the genie, gesturing to the golden creature on the silver chain. "I could have asked the girl for a crueler shape. I didn't. I feed her from my own hand. Some days I think she is sorry. I keep her with me for the days I think she is." And here's the picture I want you to keep. The genie, the grief, the sand, the embers, was sitting down. Somewhere in the middle of the tale, he had lowered himself to the ground to listen, the way children sit, and the sand around him had gone still. "It is marvelous," he said at last quietly. "A third of his life is bought." Then the second old man stood and offered the tale of the two black dogs, who had once been his two brothers, before greed and a shipwreck and a genie's justice made them what they were. And that story bought the second third. And the third old man's tale, the tale of himself and the mule, bought the last third. But here is the strange truth. The old books refuse to write that one down. They say only that it was the strangest of the three. The genie heard it. The grove heard it. We never will. I asked my grandmother once what it was. She said, "That story costs more than you have." 3 tales, 3/3, a whole life paid in full, in stories. The genie kept his word, the way the fisherman's genie kept his. He rose into the air as sand, and the wind took him, and the grove was only a grove. And the merchant walked home to his family a second time, alive because 3 strangers could talk. And as I said the words alive because 3 strangers could talk, I heard something I had never heard in that room. Nothing. The king's chin was on his chest. The man who had not slept in 7 years, the man whose whole cruelty had grown out of those 7 open-eyed years, was asleep, in front of me. 10 breaths, maybe 12. I kept talking, quieter. I told the lamp the ending instead. Some things you must not wake. Then his own body betrayed him. The head jerked up, the eyes snapped open. The hand caught the arm of the throne like a man catching himself at a cliff edge. And he looked at me. A king caught sleeping. There are men who have died for seeing less. So I did the only wise thing, and the only kind thing, and for once they were the same thing. I did not look up. I kept my eyes on the flame and my voice on the story, as if nothing in the world had happened. The merchant embraced his children, I said, and told them what a story is worth. At the door he stopped again. Half turned, I thought, for one breath I truly thought he was going to say thank you. He didn't. He wasn't ready. But I want it noted that the silence he left in was a different silence than the one he'd arrived with 4 nights ago. Softer at the edges, almost embarrassed. 7 years of iron, and the first crack in it was a nap. And on the arm of the throne beside the gold and the lapis, a 4th thread, saffron yellow. The color of a date in a grove that a tired man once threw away, never knowing it would land in a story and be worth a life. 4 nights down, 997 to go,